Hello, my friends, and welcome to my new podcast series, What Lives Between.
Woo!
This series is a little bit different than what we normally do. This is a one-on-one, a slower, more heartfelt discussion with creators about the moments and emotions that shaped them and why they feel called to create. I want to sort of address for a moment that this may get heartfelt. We may laugh, we may cry, or land somewhere in between. But this space exists so that these amazing storytellers can share the story that's most dear to them, their own. So I invite you to stay a while and listen as we take this journey together. Now, I'm not alone here, and indeed, I am not the main attraction here. I want to introduce my amazing, incredible first guest, Ardent Melody. You want to say a little bit about yourself, Mel?
Hi. Sure, I would love to. I am Ardent Melody. If you don't know me, I typically go by Mel. I am a voice actor, singer, streamer, TTRPG enthusiast, learning to DM and adamantly playing and haunting all of my existing DMs uh, with way too much brain rot. And yeah, I'm just really excited to be here. Thank you for doing this with me, for going on this. This is your first episode. That's huge. Congrats, dude.
Well, thank you. This is something that's been actually near and dear to my heart for quite a while. This is sort of what drove me and was the initial sort of like, okay, I think I can add something to the creative space by doing this. I think I can put something out there that people are gonna not only enjoy, but hopefully be meaningful to them. And yeah, I'm very blessed to have you on as my first guest.
Aw.
In this is obviously I love Talks Between Takes with the boys. It's a great time. Um, this
It
is
is for the
probably
audience too, just to be clear. It's wonderful.
yeah, but this is something that, when I was coming with the idea, I didn't just want to go create content for the sake of content. I wanted to create something that was unique, special, something that I feel like um, was going to be a bit different, but also something real. And as I thought about this, I talked. Obviously, I'm blessed to know a number of incredibly talented creators, a couple of whom are in chat. Um, and as I was sort of talking about this idea, sort of feeling out, they all said you should have Mel as your first guest. And so I'm really, really blessed to be here with you, and just want to thank you so much for coming on. Um, I
It's my
think,
pleasure. Thank you for having me. And that's
yeah,
wildly complimentary and kind of all those people. Thank you.
yeah, I'll list their names in chat to out them. No, I'm kidding. Um, just want to take a moment and address chat real quick. Some of you I may have talked to, but many of you are like, "What the hell is going on?" So this is meant to sort of be a one-on-one with a rotating cast of creators. So we'll have Mel here for one episode. We might have someone else next. Um, and we're just going to learn a bit about their lives, what drives them, and most importantly, why do they create and share that part of themselves with the world and many of you in chat. So I want to quickly highlight, I do have a specific set of rules for this podcast. You can see them down below, but I'm going to go through them here. Um, Obviously keep all the rules. Don't be a dick. No discrimination. Be respectful. But also, for this podcast in particular, we are warmly inviting you to share this moment with us. But we'll be keeping the conversation between the two of us. Feel free to write in chat on the side if something resonates with you, if something's meaningful to you. but also let's keep the focus on the guest whose story we're really delving into. So, just keep the focus there. And then, sort of as a part of that, these are conversations that are very personal. They ask for care, they ask for sensitivity. We're obviously very sensitive to it in here, but as onlookers and as people who are welcome to be here, I expect you to be as well. Treat these topics and the people sharing them with sensitivity and respect. Uh, any mocking or dismissive behavior will not be tolerated, and I will happily wield the ban hammer and get rid of people who are making light of topics that are important to the creator or who are not acting with decorum. um I also want to note this is less of a performance. We are storytelling here, but it's natural storytelling. We haven't rehearsed. Mel doesn't even know exactly what I'm going to talk about.
I'm
So we're
excited to find out, but
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we're going to take our time. There may be pauses or breaks along the way. I expect this to last about an hour and a half to 2 hours, so you're welcome to join us for as long as you can stand me or us. um, with that, let's go ahead and sort of get into it, Mel. Are you ready?
Ready? Let's do it.
Okay. So, we have a lot we're going to talk about today, but before we get into it, I kind of just wanted to check in on you. You mentioned during our interview before this that it's been a strange few weeks, but that you're in an okay place. How does it feel to say that out loud right now?
Still true, honestly.
Yeah.
I Yeah, it's been a strange few weeks. For those of you that I haven't told, I lost my job at the beginning of January, uh, which ended up being quite a blessing for me. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's been wonderful to be able to think about something else. So still true. There's obviously practical pressures behind that, but I
Hmm.
couldn't be happier to have some time to focus on creation and spending time with friends and spending time with my husband and all of those things. So yeah,
Yeah.
still good.
I love that. I think there's really two ways to look at a big life change. Obviously, it's scary. And I think in the case of a job, especially so, I've been there. I've been like, I've even walked away from jobs before, and it's the world is your oyster, but also there is no clear path.
Mm,
Um, Obviously, we're at the age where there are financial pressures and things like that, but do
hmm.
you, I, my vibe from you is that you're seeing it more as an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, Obviously, still hard. Um, but what do you feel like it's sort of revealed or opened up in you as you've begun thinking about the future? Maybe you saw your life going down a certain path, and now there's other ones, and so that fills you with wonder, but probably a bit of dread. What are you thinking about changing? Like, are there big changes in your life coming up? Are you gonna double down? Like, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I'm so not doubling down. No, I the biggest thing that's changing is I this is going to be a roundabout way to get there, but I grew up an only child supporting parents that couldn't work,
Hmm.
and I kind of have been a breadwinner much longer than I should have been. And what's exciting about this for me is with the timing and some things that have happened, I don't need to be quite as income focused as I have been in the past, which lets me look at opportunities that don't pay as much because that's the unfortunately the world that we live in,
Hmm.
but that are going to make me a lot happier. I'm a project manager by trade. I've talked about this before. Um, and that has served me very well in the business, like corporate world. But in the space that I had been working in before, I just kind of lost passion for it. And that
Hmm.
came through. Like I think I posted as a joke somewhat as a joke, mid-December that my job and I have decided that we needed to see other people. It really was like I lost passion for it, and that came through, unfortunately. So I'm excited to find something I have passion for again, and whatever that pays. I think the journey right now is figuring out how do we make that work.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming it's going to be a significant pay cut, and that is a-okay. We just need to make sure that we're realistic about it.
I'm honestly so impressed. I will say, I'm a big follower of the almighty dollar bill because it's safe.
It's so
Um,
safe. It's so real, though.
I'm really impressed that you're able to sort of step away from that, and obviously, to some point, it's stepping away from you, but also to sort of have the courage to accept that, hey, this is going to be a change, and this is how it's going to be. Honestly, I sort of wish I could take a risk like that, and so I'm proud of you. I know it's not
Aw,
easy.
thanks, buddy. Yeah, there's a fear there's a fear of losing that security for sure, especially like if I'm going into a job that is much more contract based or more of a like freelancer situation. There's no more benefits. There's no more
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of stuff that I took for granted in the past that I now need to make sure I'm self-managing, and as a person with ADHD, that's a little scary.
Do I feel the benefits thing, man? Like
In
being being in a place where our jobs define our healthcare is crazy.
It hurts me, yes.
Uh, yeah, especially, now that I know you're a little bit older than me, but like in our mid 30s, like I live a healthy life, but still, I'm like one trip on the curb while checking my phone away from a very expensive hospital bill.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. For friends that live outside of the US, I understand, like, it's probably something that's odd to conceptualize, but it's something as simple as, like you said, like a let's say you sprain your ankle to a point that you need medical attention for it. Something simple as that can straight up bankrupt you in this world without health insurance, and getting health insurance itself can bankrupt you. It's a weird, wild world, and I wish things were different, but alas, they
Yeah.
are as they are.
This is why I'm launching the what lives between commune in Thailand.
Yes.
We will provide healthcare and donuts, and you are all welcome there.
I'm in. I'm in. I will do all the dishes.
So as you think about the future, obviously very uncertain in front of you, um, a land of opportunity, but also of a bit of risk. What do you think is something that still feels really scary?
Mm, it's a great question. Letting down the people I love. I have been a provider in every relationship that I've been in, including friendships, family, my marriage. Like it's one of those things where I put a lot of self worth. What little self worth I have, I put a lot of that into what I can do for other people. And it is a lesson that I am working actively to unlearn, that I have value outside of that. So making a change like this, where a big part of what I can give my husband and what I can give to friends, that like in monetary, practical ways, losing that, it's it's scary because it's like, okay, now I need to kind of put up or shut up about having value outside of that, and that's scary for me.
I Yeah, I get it. I think have long taken that provider role. I moved out when I was very young and like have always sort of done it for myself and my people, but I think maybe I learned very hard the last couple of years that that's not really the value you bring. And so I
Mhm.
think I understand that's scary, like especially, and I know we'll get into it later. You talked about your childhood, like being a provider. That's something you've worn from a very young age. You have definitely like oldest daughter energy about you.
I'm
But
glad, because 'cause I'd rather have that than what, quote, unquote, "the stereotypical terrible, like, only child energy" is.
Yeah, you definitely are more like eldest daughter than only child. You're like, I feel like you're such a mom to so many people. You're like,
Oh yeah.
yes, come into my bosom and just rest. You're safe here.
Let me hold you, baby. It will be okay. I think Ada here calls me Twitch auntie, and that's kind of the best thing that has happened so far on Twitch for me.
Twitch auntie is
Twitch
so
auntie.
real.
Yeah.
Wow, a real auntie energy.
Hmm.
All right. Well, I guess it's time. Let's go back. Um, I think it's kind of interesting how the way we were raised continues to affect us as adults. You know, those formative years, it can be very hard to break through them. Um, I know in our pre-interview, you talked a lot about your childhood and how you feel like it still shaped you. So I would really want to understand, whatever you're comfortable sharing, how was growing up? What are the forces that you feel like influenced you and or still continue to influence you?
Mm. So many. I was raised, to put it in the tightest nutshell possible. I was raised by two disabled parents. My
Hmm.
father is part blind, part deaf, and my mother had cerebral palsy and was in a wheelchair, and for my entire life. And learning to take care of them pretty much as early as I could, like from the time I was physically able to like help with the wheelchair, like seat belts on the bus, being able to help like make sure mom was safe and all of that.
Hmm.
It started something very early in that, putting self-worth into what you can do for other people. And then growing up in as a Jehovah's Witness, that
Wow.
is a religion that is very merit-based love situation.
Hmm.
And I certainly don't want to put people who are in that religion down. I will put down the religion itself all day, but people who are in that religion, that's a separate thing for me. I think it taught me a lot of great things, in that learning to preach door to door taught me how to talk to people, taught me how to improvise on my and think on my feet, before I did any sort of theater training. And so there are good things like that that came out of it. But on the whole, being taught things like you could do everything right and maybe God will accept you, kind of thing.
Hmm.
Not been my best formative lessons. So I think, I don't know, it made me very resourceful, like taking
Yeah.
care of my parents from that early age. But it also, uh, I wish, there are times when I sit back and I think, wow, what would it have been like to have a real childhood, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what does that do to a person when you don't have that? And kind of reconciling that within myself, like, okay, how can I give now that inner child what she would have wanted back then? What would she have wanted back then? Because when you're in a religion like that, they tell you what you want. You want
Hmm.
to please God. You want to do all the things to, uh, you know, do your best. And had all of that been out of the way, who would Melody have been? And I'm exploring that right now. Age 36, I'm figuring that
Yeah.
shit out right now. So
Refinding your inner child.
100%, yeah. And truly asking her, "What do you want? What do you want from me? I will do my best." So being able to do this, to create, to pursue any type of character performances that I can, be it in theater or voice acting or TTRPGs, is been a gift I'm giving to myself that I could not be happier with.
So you went door to door as a child, like a missionary.
I sure did. You want to hear my favorite story?
Absolutely.
Okay. Trigger warning, it does involve a gun.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Chat. If that
Trigger
is a
warning.
delicate subject for you, go ahead and mute for the next like 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, it'll be quick. It'll be quick. But my dad is part blind and part deaf. One of the first people that I went door to door with was my dad. And he could not see and I could not understand what I was seeing behind a screen door as we approached once, but there were two people doing what two intimate people can do with the door open.
Oh, they were fucking.
They were fucking I didn't know what that was at the time because I was, like, 6 or 7 years old.
Oh, Jesus.
And my dad couldn't see it, and he just went into his, like, "Oh, hello," like, he heard a voice, and he was, like, trying to respond in greeting, and "Oh, hello, I am so and so, we're here to talk about blah, blah, blah," and this person said, "Go away." He didn't hear it. I didn't know what
Because
to
he's
do.
partially deaf, yeah.
He's partially deaf, and the next thing I hear, thankfully I knew at least this much from movies, was a and we're like, "Dad, we gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go."
That's absolute okay, I have so many observances. First of all, boning with the door open is crazy, but
I
also
mean, also
boning
get it.
boning with the door open with a gun in reach is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Right? Not just
Uh,
a gun, a shotgun. Like, bro.
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna kink shame here, but,
Yeah.
like, even people who practice gunplay know, like, unloaded only, that's crazy.
Yeah. I think
Um,
it was because the neighborhood I grew up in, to be fair, was very sketch,
yeah.
and all of our where we did went door to door was usually kind of in the realm of wherever we worshipped/lived,
Mhm.
and yeah, I think they were just prepared in case some shit went down.
That is I don't have words to describe that. How do you how, like, what a life to live. Um, I definitely wanna go back earlier, but I think now is the time to ask the question, how did
Mm.
you leave that?
I left that when I was 18, roughly. I had started seeing my very first boyfriend, which, funny enough, we're still friends. Uh, and he and I were doing all of the things that I'd been told you're not supposed to do.
Mhm.
We were fucking. We were living
Melody.
together. I know. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. We we had lived together. We were kissing. We were, like, oh my god. And I just didn't feel guilty about it. And I knew I should have, and there was part of me that at that time very much still believed in the religion and was like, "Oh, I'm the problem here. So I'm going to leave it so that I don't shame it," kind of thing. Like, I don't want to carry the name of being a Jehovah's Witness if that's not truly what I am.
Mhm.
And I wrote a letter of disassociation for myself. I got brought in front of the elders, didn't quite realize that it would mean the same thing as disfellowshipping in terms of what it meant for my family.
Mhm.
I which that might be its own trigger warning, honestly. Uh, but it basically meant once I had disassociated myself, then it was formally announced in front of the congregation. And once that happened, my parents were not supposed to speak with me at all. They disowned me essentially for about 3 years at that point. So
Wow.
that was leaving that, that was pretty painful. I still, again, it was one of those where, like, Jehovah's Witnesses don't teach that there's not really any afterlife except for, um, paradise, earth. It's a whole long story. Point is, there's no heaven or hell. Once you die, you're just like, it's a flame that is out until somebody lights it again, specifically until God decides to light it again if you thought you did good enough. Uh,
Oh, so they're like reincarnators.
No, they're like, you are dead until after this world is over. Like, they believe in, like, a big, apocalypse situation, and then after the apocalypse,
Oh, okay,
rebuilding.
yeah. The
It's an
apocalypse
odd
from
one.
God, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
exactly. Like, their return, they very much believe in the Revelation version of Jesus's return,
You know,
which is dramatic as hell if you haven't read
it's
it.
it's so wild. I was my partner, and I both also had like very religious upbringings, and
Mhm.
it's interesting because I still believe at its core, religion can be like the tenets they teach, like love thy neighbor, um, go out of your way to help people, live with integrity. Those are all
Yeah.
still things I still hold. It's just a shame that I feel like often not necessarily religious people, but religious organizations just like don't hold to that. Like, if you
Mhm.
really, are taught love your neighbor, then my neighbor believes differently than me. Like, that's okay, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
it's not a competition to see who gets into heaven. It's more like, hey, like you may believe in this, I may believe in this. Like, let's just still be kind to each other and know that those beliefs can be unifying as well as separating. Um,
Yeah. And that it's beautiful that there's differences. I think the one of my worst traits, honestly, was especially back then believing that, and this was religiously instituted, that because I had this quote unquote truth, I was better than my quote unquote
mm,
worldly counterparts. And it gives you this like air of pride that in retrospect, I had no idea at the time, but in retrospect, I was a real dick sometimes because of it. I I didn't know. And it's wild looking back and being like, hey, accepting that other people believe differently than you and loving them for that as opposed to judging them for that, there's a big difference there. And I'm so with you, like that core idea of loving people, truly loving people, and not just passively but actively loving people. It's something that I think a lot of religious people do their best to practice, but that religious organizations can often get in the way of. So it's, yeah, I'm with you. I hear that.
yeah, that's yeah. I My first girlfriend out of high school was a Jehovah's Witness. I was not quite where you were at 18. I was still in my sword fighting with metal rulers phase, but
Let's go.
um I remember, like, obviously you're 18, 19, 20. Like, you have these feelings biologically. You crave, or generally, there's a craving for intimacy, for physical touch, for comfort. And then to
Mhm,
have that sort of layer of saying, oh, like this is sinful, this is wrong, even though like your body, the desire for that, I think we know as adults is natural, right? It's
mhm.
biologically induced in us to continue our species, whether that's for good or worse. Um, and yeah, I remember sort of the true shame she felt. And now being an adult, I wonder like how can you make someone who's in their formative years feel that way about something that we all know as adults you can't control.
Yeah,
Sometimes people just get horny and that's just how it is.
it's just how it is, and especially, like, as a female in that space, it's a great like, I'll give you an example. I once wore a dress that was, like, that was sleeveless in the way that, like, and you chat can't see, but that I'm wearing, like, a thick
Oh,
sort of tank top now.
Melody, a sleeveless
I
dress.
know. What was I thinking? It was the early 2000s, it was crazy.
Were you
Uh
showing arm and shoulder?
I
Wow.
was. It was scandalous. And I literally got pulled into the back room, which if you grew up with Jehovah's Witness, you know is one of the most horrifying things that could happen. I got pulled into the back room and was like, you're distracting the brothers, and this is a choice that you're making, and we're going to ask you to go home and change or borrow a shawl from one of the sisters. And yeah, things like that. It's one of those. I was once yelled at when I was 9 years old by an elder in the congregation for correcting him when he was legitimately wrong about what he was saying. He just gotten a fact wrong, and again, I was a little shit, so I corrected him. But I corrected him in front of everybody, which wasn't the best move in general. I do get
Wow.
that now as an adult, but the yelling at that I got specifically was I needed to learn my place as a young woman. And I was like, "Oh, I thought it was more important that we get the truth right than any of that." And that was completely glazed over. So little things like that, like you talked about, I can't for your first girlfriend, like you said, the shame is so real because it is ingrained in you from the like for me having been born into it like from birth kind of thing. It's
Mhm.
rough.
Yeah, and you know what? If people choose that path, I know adults who convert their LDS,
Mhm.
their Jehovah's Witnesses. I feel like at least then you sort of have the development to make that choice. I
Yeah.
think, when you're young, luckily, I was raised, my grandfather was an Episcopalian priest.
Oh, okay.
And so
Oh, a
we were
priest. Okay.
raised, yeah, very religious. And my parents still are, but I was, and I think those who know me well will know this, I don't give a flying fuck what people think. Um,
I think
and
people who don't know you well know that too, Tom. I'm just
yeah,
saying.
and
And I love you
so
for it.
yeah, and I've just always been this way. And so I remember when I was 11 years old, I went to temple, and my friend, he's Muslim, and he took me to temple, and my
Aw.
parents were like, "How dare you? This is an affront to God." And I was like, "I'm gonna do this whether you like it or not. So I'll either sneak off and do it, or you can let me do it." And
Yeah.
I remember my grandfather came to me, and he was a kind old man. He was just, yeah, he's an old schooler. And he was like, we're just worried about your soul, but if this is something you feel like you need to do. And he died before I left the church. But
Mm.
I like to think that he was, he always liked me, which was strange because you'd think he'd like my brother more, who was definitely like always followed the rules. But no, I was definitely the favorite for that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Your
s-
grandfather sounds like a wonderful, wonderful person.
I mean, he was a man of his time, but
Sure.
yeah, I think I could have done worse.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know you talk about all the time you love to sing.
Mm.
Um, I guess I have curiosity, like in this sort of restrictive household you grew up in, was that encouraged?
Not at all. It was well, it was encouraged to the point that I was singing songs that were, in the congregation. Like, there's a what is it called? Sing Jehovah's Praises is the songbook that's used. It's a hymnal, basically.
Hmm.
And that was encouraged, like, being able to sing to a point. The problem was I'm loud, I've always been loud, and you get a bunch of like, forgive the bluntness, but you get a bunch of shy white people and then one really fucking loud one. You stand out a little bit more than you maybe want to. And I definitely lost friends because of that sometimes. Just from people being like, "Oh, you should be more like her." No, they shouldn't. They should just be themselves. I so as singing in church, that was the whole thing. I did enjoy it. I still actually have a couple of favorite like melodies that I remember from that. But when it came to things that normal people did when you like singing, like choir, like so choir in school, or because Jehovah's Witnesses don't have like praise teams or anything the way that the more like traditional contemporary Christian church would. Um, they that was really my only outlet. So, and I had people that had heard me sing that were like teachers that were like, "Hey, you should come be in choir," but I wasn't allowed to do any extracurriculars, anything that was spending quote unquote more time with worldly people. Um, so all of the singing that I did was either at the Kingdom Hall, which is what their churches are called, or it was at home making my mom watch me reenact Phantom of the Opera, or by myself, including costume changes, baby. I
So
making
you were just a theater kid.
oh yeah, I from the jump. Um, didn't know it, couldn't participate in theater, but boy, oh boy, was I that kid. Um, I did. There was Kelly Clarkson won American Idol in 2002, and there was a
Oh,
video
I
of a concert.
remember.
Oh my god, came out in like 2006, 2005-ish, something in there. It was right around the time I graduated high school. And there was a full like video of her concert. I knew that concert, including costume changes, including the live versions of all the songs, and would do that in front of people. I did it in front of
Wow.
I did it in front of a friend I met through the fan club. Like, took a suitcase with a fucking prom dress and everything for the Behind These Hazel Eyes costume change. It was I've always been extra is my point,
Wow.
Dom.
You were such a little weirdo, and I love it.
Yes, I was. And now I've just found a way to make that slightly more socially acceptable. Uh,
Yeah, now you just perform on the internet for strangers.
exactly. It's great.
If it makes you feel any better, I was obsessed with the Roman Empire, and I would carry around a metal ruler like a sword.
Oh, That's
And
adorable.
yeah, I was that little fucking nerd.
I
And
love it.
yeah, we were all little weirdos.
Did you
Uh,
have one of the, like, the helmets with the I don't even know the name of it, but the little, like, to me, it looks almost like a scrub brush on the top?
no, and here's why.
Okay.
I won't go into my full lecture, but my partner knows I have a deep like obsession with Roman concrete.
Oh, okay.
That's like, yes, the Romans were incredible warriors. They were legionnaires, but really, Romans were just really, really good project managers, and
They
they built,
were! Oh my god,
yeah,
yes.
and they were like they made a religion out of organization, and one of the things they made Roman concrete. Like we've recently made huge strides, but Roman concrete is the reason that Roman structures are still around thousands of years later and will be. And if uh, we can't recreate it because it takes a specific type of salt water and volcanic ash,
Okay,
but
okay.
yeah, I was. If you were a little weirdo with theater, I was in the chemistry lab in my school trying to make Roman concrete.
That's so wonderful. I
Yeah,
love that so much. It's not even like the
that's
architecture, it's not columns, it's not all because there were advents there too, but it's specifically the concrete.
Nope,
That is
just the
dope as hell,
concrete.
Dom.
Yeah. I thought I was called by the ancient Roman gods to
Let's
reinvent
go.
concrete. Turns out, no, but I did make a lot of mess in the chemistry lab.
I
So,
respect the hell out of that, dude. That's awesome.
um, so I guess I want to ask, obviously, and we'll get to this in a bit. You're a bit of a fucking rebel.
Oh yeah.
Is do you think the act of creation for you is still somewhat of an act of rebellion?
Yeah, actually, and I hadn't really thought of it that way, but you framing it that way makes a lot of sense because I couldn't sing growing up. I couldn't do a lot of the things. I couldn't do theater growing up as I wanted to. So yeah, I think I found my love for it and the ability to do it after I'd left the religion. Like I found that thoroughly rather. Ended up taking it into college and being able to do some of it there. But then after college, like in the quote unquote real world, there's not nearly as much opportunity to
Mhm.
do those sort of creative endeavors. So yeah, I think my whole let's put this stuff online. Let's figure out, what your content creation brand is and what you want to do. I think that is an act of rebellion. And I hadn't thought of it that way before. But yeah, it's a way to have a chance to do the things that my little inner child wanted to do and didn't have a chance to.
Mhm. Do you remember, like, if you look back, was music so attractive to you because it was something that was yours and because it was something that was rebellious?
Possibly. I honestly think it just felt good. Like it being able to sing, getting into a character and expressing like there's something about music that says things that words can't.
Mhm.
Even though there are words in what I sing, I'm not an instrumentalist. I wish I was, but there's something about the way music made me feel, and I think makes a lot of people feel that goes deeper than just the prose that is behind it. And I love the prose. I love lyrics. Lyrics are my favorite thing in music, but something about that little addition of certain chords or like a certain melody or a certain whatever it is in any given song or piece, I think it just allowed me to feel things that I didn't understand and maybe wasn't allowed to at the time? So I
Mhm.
do think there's some of it in there that is, yeah, a result of being repressed, but I also think that there's just something universal about, yeah, music says more. It says more than I just words can.
Is that where the name comes from? An ardent melody?
That is where the name comes from. A friend of mine and I had sort of workshopped it. It started off as a couple of different things, but we landed on melody because it was a musical term for one. But I wanted to specifically say like when I went to college, I was not, the kid with the solos. I was not the kid that
Mhm.
I got, the big performance opportunities, and that ends up sitting with you in a performance school if you've ever been to one that kind of makes you feel like you're not that talented.
Hmm.
And I'm learning to change that perception of myself. But making the moniker, it was like, you know what? If I'm not the best, what if I'm just the most enthusiastic? And that's where ardent
Mm.
comes from. I am an ardent melody. I am always going to be the I have enthusiasm for it, whether it's good or not. Fuck it, who cares? But I'm really excited about what I'm doing, and that will always be true. So that's why the moniker came out that way.
It's so interesting because to me, like ardent has a bit of a spicy
Mm,
flavor to it, you know.
how so?
Uh, so I mean, when I think about it, it's like an ardent fervor. It's like a s- I don't want to say necessarily sexual, but
Hmm.
it kind of evokes to me a bit of a like a physical reaction. Like if I like I think when I most hear or mostly read ardent, it's like an ardent lover or like
Mhm.
something like that. And so I I kind of I think it's a very fitting name. I think it sort of hits all of the layers and complexities of you in a really interesting way. And
I
then
appreciate that.
obviously you're just Mel to most people now, which is really nice.
Yeah, it works. It's a nice little like shortened version. I love that, and I also like how ardent sounds phonetically a bit like adamant. Can be like, no,
True.
this is happening. Fuck you. This is happening.
This is
Despite whatever you put in my way, it doesn't matter.
this is happening and you can't stop it.
Exactly.
I honestly wish I had put a little bit more thought into my online persona and my name.
You still
Uh
have time. There's always a way to change it
yeah,
if you wanted to.
I think it's just one of those life things where like it's now there and I just live by it. It
I
was
mean, Dom does work for you.
I really feel like it does. So
Yeah.
I'll go, you know, I'll go back a little bit. So earlier in my life, I was really involved in the kink community.
Mhm, mhm,
And obviously I'm a working professional in like a relatively public role. Like I've been in
mhm,
the newspaper. I do things that people write about.
mhm.
And I would go to these parties. Like I wouldn't want to give people my name because like what if my coworkers found out, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so when I arrived at like my first party years and years and years ago with my partner, she was like, "Well, what are they going to call you?" And I was like, "Well, they should call me what I am."
Yeah.
And that's kind of how this all came together. But when Vogue, my dear friend, was making his Discord server for the first time, we were in Japan. It was like in its infancy. He's obviously grown a lot since then. Like so proud of
Mhm.
him for all the success he's had.
Hell yeah.
Um, but he was like, "Oh, like come be a mod on my server." Uh,
Ah.
but at the time, I was interviewing with Discord.
Oh, no.
And my buddy who was there was like, "Oh yeah, like by the way, like we consider ourselves a chat platform. So like we use Discord for everything. And so if
Oh.
you're in any questionable servers, they will know that as they interview you." I was like,
Was
"God
that
damn it."
before you could have multiple profiles? I guess they would even know the linked profiles then.
Yeah, so I actually made a
Okay.
brand new profile, like unassociated with anything else. I
Yeah,
deleted it later for other reasons, but
sure.
that's where Dom the Funky Homo Sapien came through. Also, a big shout out to Dell the Funky Homo Sapien, the music artist
Hey.
who was my inspiration.
Let's
Um,
go. That's awesome.
so
And also Vogue is awesome, and if anybody's not following him, you should fix that.
yeah, go follow Vogue. He does what I do, but better in every single way. He's the man I want to be when I grow up.
Wait, you do yandere content, Dom? Since when?
Yeah, exclusively under on my secret channel,
Oh
the
my god.
the Dondere.
The Okay, for real though, I need you to make that channel. I'm not even kidding.
You know, I recently we ran a Poland blog server and I didn't expect to win, but I was like, oh, I'll pressure whoever wins to make an audio. The the thing is this, like I have so much appreciation and I'm so impressed by you guys who make audios because I have done a couple and it takes a fucking long time.
Yeah, it does. It
Yeah,
really
like
does.
just making sure my fucking breathing is in the microphone is a goddamn nightmare. So, no, I will not be making the flip to that, but I will continue doing this and loving it.
Wonderful. That's all we can ask. Don't do the things you love.
So sort of going back to the name,
Mm.
I c- I would say I know you relatively well, not dear friend level, but like I'm
Yeah.
getting to know you. You really strike me as someone who is exploring yourself, exploring the world. And I think that kind of goes with sort of the ardent melody, right? You are enthusiastically throwing yourself into new opportunities. How did you get here? Like, how did you go from this little theater girl with what I'm guessing is bad makeup and
Oh
many
yeah.
wigs
So much blue eyeshadow.
to oh god.
It was a look, guys. It was a look in the 2000s. I'm sorry.
Oh god, the sparkly blue eyeshadow was
Oh
it?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh
The little
god.
like $1.25 Wet and Wild. Fuck yeah.
I'm cringing for like 10 to 15-year-old Mel right now.
As you should be. She was a nightmare.
So so I guess how did you get from there to here? You've had, I mean, in talking to you, it seems like you've had like a number of awakenings, changes. Can like sort of walk me through from like little blue sparkly eyeshadow wearing child Mo to now you who are trying to be unapologetically yourself.
Man, that's a great question and a long answer.
Yeah, go for it.
I I'll kind of hit the like life points and then go back over it. The left Jehovah's Witnesses at 18 was kind of the very first step in that exploring, or maybe it was a little bit before then when I started to talk to friends that started to get me to question things. So shout out to the CSI Miami fan board for introducing me to my first girlfriend. Uh, it was, I think, that sort of starting to question process, and then the next step was leaving Jehovah's Witnesses, having a boyfriend. When that ended, it was, I've always wanted to go to school. How do
Mm,
I do that? There were some barriers in the way of that. Like the first thing that the federal application for student aid or the FAFSA asks for is your parents' income, your parents' taxable income. Well, my parents are both disabled. They don't have taxable income. Nobody would see me to help me fill out my FAFSA until I'd filled out my FAFSA. So you could see where there was a bit of a disconnect here.
mm,
It took me a few years to actually find somebody that would help me complete that. And when I did, it was visiting my what became my girlfriend in Owensboro, Kentucky, of all
oh
places.
wow.
So I was like, hell, I mean, if they're this helpful with this, they'll be helpful with everything else. And I went to school. That was an experience. Lots of things happened in college as they do, but it was a very small school. It was a Methodist college,
Oh
of all
wow.
things.
Yeah.
So I jumped out of one frying pan, which was Jehovah's Witnesses, into another and became a baptized Southern Baptist for a while. That was fun. Specifically a Calvinist Southern Baptist, which if you know the little like subsections of Southern Baptist, that's one of the culty versions of it.
Oh
Uh,
god.
and because was that for a while, realized that I'd jumped into the fire, backed out of it. I almost died on a mountain when our choir bus brakes gave out. I That'll make you question some things. Graduated, went to New York with the help of with the help of my current husband, actually, who we just reconnected, and that was the beginning of that relationship solidifying and becoming what it is now. I tried to pursue theater in New York, as you do in New York.
Yeah.
Ended up actually meeting a lot of wonderful people and being part of a lot of great things that I'm still very proud of, but never anything that was like commercially
Mhm.
significant, to put it as mildly as I can. Um, and was working as a waiter for a while, very, normal story, and reached a point where bills got scary, security got
Mhm.
scary. I needed
Yeah.
an office job. And I told everybody I was looking for a 9 to 5. My bartender was lovely and was like, "Hey, this guy, this one here that's like 6 glasses of wine in, his company is hiring. Why don't you, talk to him?" Talked to him, gave him my email address. 2 months later, heard back from him because he found the napkin in his pocket and was like, "Oh, yeah." Uh, and got my very first office job and went from there, and that always felt to me like giving up in a
Hmm.
way. Like I gained so much stability. I gained so much like, you know, I mean, you know how it is. You've worked in an office environment. Like there's a lot of good things that come from that, but there was a part of me that was like, I gave up. I sold out. I'm not really pursuing my dream anymore. And that hurts. That hurts a lot. And I if you're a creative person, it will bubble out of you somehow at some point.
Yeah.
So when we ended up moving here to where we are now in Utah, it was to be able to afford a house and kind of pursue that same stability. And uh, it just there were a lot of things that happened. I ended up beating cancer. I ended up getting married. All of these sort of life things that happened in my 20s. This new phase of life came along in my 30s where things changed, that maybe I don't need to provide for my parents' long-term care because one of them is gone now. Like, and then the person that would have been the most expensive to take care of is gone now. So it's a lot of changes sort of lined up at once to make room for this. Okay, you're gonna stop fighting your perfectionism. You're going to accept the fact that there is space for you, even if it's quote unquote just online. That doesn't matter. You're still creating.
Mhm.
Just do it. And I give credit to Nomad actually for saying in streams, if you're interested in this, just do it. Just start. And I can't echo that enough because it has changed my life immensely to be able to just start doing something.
Wow. I mean, God, so much in there. Definitely want to go back to a lot of it. I think I just want to say, like, I guess to you and, take a moment to address chat. I don't think you should ever feel guilty for the choices you make. Like, whether you seek stability or whether you seek creativity, I mean, there are sacrifices on either side.
Exactly.
Um, I consider myself a storyteller, but most people who know me as a boss or like a solution creator.
Yeah.
They don't see the stories I tell, whether it's through my D&D group or whether it's through things like this.
Hmm.
I just think when you're choosing things like that, just understand what you're getting into and then make your choice and be at peace with it.
Yeah.
Um, and life follows paths or sort of from side to side. Like if you go back to your 20s when you were in New York, you were creating, like you made that trade-off and now you're thinking about making that trade-off again.
Hmm.
And it's okay. It doesn't make you any like less assured of a person. It's just, hey, I need this. I don't need this. I'm making this compromise. I'm not making this compromise. And I think it's rare is the person who can have both. And it's a
Hmm.
combination of skill and luck. If I was born into a very wealthy family, I would be a creative 100%. But not to
Yeah.
worry about my bills. I wasn't. I support my family, and so
Yeah.
I took on that role, and it's just how it is.
Hmm.
But I also think whether it's your job or not, like you can do both. It's just can you manage your time well enough to do it, right?
Yes. That's so real. The
Um,
ability and the effort that it takes. People that do both, they just like people that do any of this deserve so much respect, but people that have high output especially and that do literally anything aside from their creative endeavors, like, yeah, absolutely.
so true. Well, we sort of went through a number of things there. I want to circle back on some because I think they're really important. Um, Loss. You
Mm.
mentioned that uh, before we actually do that, I want to go all the way back because it's something we didn't touch in the beginning. You grew up with disabled parents. I can't imagine how difficult that is from a young age. You were an only child, correct?
I was, yeah.
Yeah, that had to be really hard. Um, do you think kind of you must have had to grow fast. And I think you are a very like nurturing presence still. Do you think that's where it comes from? Can you I think most people probably don't understand what that's like when you're young and you know when your child's adults are supposed to take care of you, but it was maybe sort of the opposite with you. So can you share a bit about your experience? Like what was that like? What made people misunderstand or not understand?
Sure. I thinking back to that time is interesting because there's a lot more that you are a product of your environment to some degree in that whatever perspective you have is sort of the perspective you were given. So for me, growing up with disabled parents, I knew it wasn't normal, quote unquote, but it was my normal.
Hmm.
It was the thing that I understood. I didn't know what having a family that had a car was like. I didn't know what it was like to um to have parents that didn't need assistance with certain physical things, but it also I got a lot of pride from it,
Hmm.
from taking care of them. Um, and I liked that it was a that I wasn't I liked that I was weird.
Yeah.
Except for when it didn't serve me, which was
Yeah.
for a lot of social interactions. But I like, especially looking back on it too, like I like that I had sort of an odd experience. What was hard about it was that it was not something I really had anybody around that could relate to it
Yeah.
except for my parents, and then that turned into and unfortunately has somewhat remained with my dad that I kind of became a bit of their therapist, like somebody that they could vent to
Mhm.
because they didn't have a lot of friends. They didn't have people that they could lean on. Or if they did, they didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
So it was yeah, I knew I knew every time that, like, my mom, I was having trouble with my dad because I got the full venting, and then I
Mhm.
got the full venting from my dad about my mom, and I got the, like they were raising me on, welfare. They only had, like, I wanna say, like, $700 a month to start, and of course, that
Wow.
changed with inflation. They until I was 4, we lived in, assisted housing that was downtown Denver, and then we moved to a house, that wasn't too terribly far from downtown, big neighborhood now. Um, they got that house for what, was '80s prices, so it's quite a bit different now, especially with the way Denver's grown. All of that to say, like, it it was good in that it taught me how to be bold. It taught
Mhm.
me like, my dad was very much a homebody, didn't like to go out and do things, but my mom was an unbridled spirit that we didn't have a car, but we sure did have her wheelchair, uh, and I rode on the back of that thing all the time, a little motorized wheelchair, um, and we just went out and did things, and I she taught me to be bold, and I think I'm not brave, I am recklessly bold. Meaning, I will throw myself into things whether I think I can do so safely or not, which
Mhm.
most of the time has paid off.
There is
um,
something to be said for being bold.
yeah, yeah, it's helpful. It's definitely helpful. I'm thinking like the hard part of it was just feeling lonely a lot. Like, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of only children have that experience, but feeling lonely, I did learn how to entertain myself, which has remained true. I But the like it's hard to say what of my social ostracization came ostracization? Yeah, words are hard. I What of that came from being the little Jehovah's Witness kid? What
Mhm.
of that came from clearly being a theater child, but that couldn't do theater? What of that came from me just being, generally an awkward individual? And what if that came from having to have grown up way too fast and having a very strange perspective on the world because of it? And I think in general, I wish I could have connected with people better. I wish even like I struggle with this still today. I definitely see people as fairly transient because that's been my experience with them.
Mm.
And that doesn't devalue them in any way for me. People, I think just because of life come and go, but I do wonder, like, I see people that are able to have, like, really dear close friends that they've known for, like, since grade school, and I don't really have a reference point for that for me because people have always come and gone. And this is part of what I explore with a lot of my characters is that sort of relating to other people and how that changes through life. So, yeah, I don't know. It's an odd having to parent your parents. Definitely, like, my first job was at 13. I
Wow.
and they almost lost their benefits because of it. Like, my dad almost got kicked off of SSDI because of the the massive income coming from a, high schooler working very part-time at a photo shop. Like,
Wow.
it was wild. So, yeah, I had to be careful that I didn't, become the breadwinner too much because then, the government wouldn't it was a whole thing.
That's that's wild. Yeah, I think it's good that like now you're maybe allowing yourself to do that. I think I, will personally share like I have young nieces,
Mm,
and I know you're an only child, so this is probably something you'll only experience through like your friends' kids. But
sure.
man, do kids just like unabashedly not give a shit and just
Oh
do
my
whatever they
god.
want?
And say whatever they want, and they're being as honest as they can be.
And like, I feel like them being unabashedly themselves sort of has allowed me to respond with that energy because also kids won't judge you.
That's
Like,
awesome.
my little niece is obsessed with Frozen, but
Oh.
she is Anna, and
Oh.
my littlest, she's not talking yet, but she has a little snowman onesie, so she's Olaf, which means I clearly have to be Elsa.
Obviously.
Yeah, by the transient properties of they care a lot.
That's
Um,
so sweet.
yeah, and just like yeah, they love it, and I think it's good. I think adults could really learn from children a bit about how to be unabashedly themselves. Um,
Yeah. I honestly I agree completely. I wish kids didn't scare me because of that.
oh, kids terrify me. They absolutely terrify
Really?
me. I never want to have my own, but
Fair.
I love being able to like fake parent for my friends and family. And then when the child gets too rowdy or too annoying or too messy, I just hand them back.
Yeah, that's incredibly fair. I can handle being around kids for very short stints, like for
Mhm.
like 2 to 3 hours, and then I either run out of patience or I get nervous or like I like it. I'm good with kids actually, but
Mhm.
kids in general do terrify me because I never know what they're going to say. And
No.
as a person that struggles with self-worth and whatnot, when they say things that are out of pocket that may resonate with a negative voice that I have in my head, it gets tough to deal with. And that's
Yeah.
so pathetic in my head, but it's
Uh,
real.
you know,
Like, it is what it is.
it's not. The thing is, kids are unabashedly honest, and we love them
Hmm.
for that. But also, that makes them terrifying. Like
Yeah.
when my little nieces poke my belly and go, "Uncle Dom, you're getting fat." I'm like, "Oh, thank
Oh,
you." Like
thanks, buddy.
I don't see that when I look in the mirror every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me just say no to that cookie you're shoving in your face. Um,
Metabolism, kids, it changes over time, let
yeah,
me tell you.
yeah. You just wait till you're in your 30s and you can't eat cookies anymore.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I want to kind of gently approach a subject.
Sure.
Obviously, I think your mom in particular, it sounds like you have a very complicated relationship with. You
Mhm.
admired her bold and unbridled spirit, but also must have been a huge labor of love growing up, taking care of someone. I have a very dear friend with cerebral palsy, and I know firsthand, like, how labor intensive it can be to care for them. Um, so gently approaching, like, losing her.
Mm, mhm.
Um, how has that affected you?
Um, it's affected me in ways that I didn't expect because I lost her a long time before she was dead.
Hmm.
I never got the relationship back that I had with my mom as a child after they disowned me.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, my relationship with my dad is much closer than it ever was when I was a
Hmm.
kid, and that was true before mom died. Um, and I Yeah, it's definitely labor intensive, but I didn't have to do as much of the labor as one might think because we did have, because of the way that income was and everything, she did have like state assistance to bring in somebody that helped with showers and helped with like using the restroom. And my dad handled like getting her out of bed in the morning and putting her to bed at night. And he got a lot of self worth out of that and
Hmm.
taking care of her. And he's lost a lot of his identity with her passing.
Yeah.
But it's very hard realizing that you're grieving somebody who's still alive. And
Hmm.
then on the flip side of that, when they do pass, having nothing left to grieve
Yeah.
and how uncomfortable and heartless it can make you feel. And I think it just taught me a lot about, like I said, people are transient for me. And even my mom, I realized she had left long before she died. And she made that choice. I don't feel that that's on me. That's a choice that she made, that she chose her relationship to her God over her daughter, and that's not on me, and I'm okay with that, and it's one of the very few things that I'm actually at peace with.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's an interesting and odd thing to look at, but I hope it's something that other people, if they've experienced anything like that, can make peace with and realize that, hey, people leave,
Hmm.
and that's their choice, and it doesn't say anything about you or what you're worth or what you have to give or what you have to offer the world. Sometimes it's just life. Sometimes it's not even something that they choose to do, but sometimes it is something they choose to do. And that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's. I think, you know, as people move towards the end, whether it's, I feel like very rare is it like the young person is struck by a sudden heart attack and dies. I mean, of course that happens, but I
Hmm.
think we all have maybe had experiences where someone is leaving. Um, and I think I can only imagine how some of the unresolved things between you were left when she passed. And you have to get to a place where you realize you just may never get closure on some things. And you just have to accept that.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, the last meaningful conversation I remember having with her, for me anyway, was a time that, yeah, I'd moved away a long time ago. I'd gone through school. I'd started down this path of my own. And when I was 16, it was right after I graduated high school, my grandmother took a fall, one of many by that point, and it was enough of
mhm,
one where they were like, "She's either gonna need to go into a nursing home or she needs somebody to live with her."
mhm,
And my mom, being a disabled individual who had spent time in nursing homes, who had, experienced, I'm gonna give a trigger warning to chat for SA, uh, who had experienced, let's say, loss of autonomy in a lot of different ways in those settings,
mhm.
she could not fathom putting her mother into a nursing home, but as a person in a wheelchair, she also couldn't do anything about
Yeah.
it. So, I did it for her, and I lived with my grandmother for 2.5 years until she died,
Wow.
and she was an unkind person. She was And it only got worse, the worse her, and like, her as she lost independence, she got meaner,
Mhm.
which always ends up being taken out on the person who is like in the closest proximity to you.
Yeah.
Uh, but in some ways, I thank her for that because it made me spend more time on the internet, which made me spend more time getting to know people that were well outside of my religious circle, which led to me doing all of these things.
Yeah.
So while as traumatic as that was, it gave me what I have now. So I'm coming back to what you asked. She my mom thought that because I had such a terrible experience with her mom, that at the earliest opportunity I was going to throw her in a nursing home.
Hmm.
That is the most hurtful thing she ever said to me, because I would never, because I know. And I remember my dad calling me. I was in New York at the time, and I found out that she'd gone into the hospital because she had a wound on her leg from the little dogs that they were taking care of scratching her foot, and it was one of those things, like the wound stayed open for years.
Hmm.
Um, and I just remember hearing her say that again. I got on a plane, flew to Denver for 2 days, and I sat them down and I said, "Listen, this is where I'm at. I will never be a Jehovah's Witness again. I That is something you have to accept, and if I get even a whiff of you trying to manipulate me otherwise, I will not return. You are also never getting grandkids from me. I'm sorry. That's the reality. It's who I am. You're gonna have to deal with that." Now that we've had that conversation, I love both of you. I will continue to take care of you as long as I can, and however best I can. And it was very hurtful to me that you thought otherwise for even a half a second.
Yeah.
And after that was all laid bare, we'd reached an understanding. And I'm really grateful that my husband encouraged me to go ahead and get on that flight, that I had the boldness, guts, whatever the fuck to go do that, because those were the unresolved things. Had I not said those things to them,
Mhm.
that would have been the unresolved thing. So that was years before she passed, but that goes back to
Yeah. You lost her well before that.
exactly. So it was one of those things where it didn't change her mind. She didn't decide that, she wanted to develop a relationship past that, but I at least had said what I needed to say, which all to say to chat and people listening at any given thing, like, and to you, my dear friend Dom, like, say what you need to say to people lovingly as best as you can, of course, but don't wait. Don't keep it in. If you can safely say what you need to say, do it. It's worth it. And you never
Yeah.
know how much time you have.
You always think you have more time, whether it's for you or for other people. And, I think I have the same understanding of you as people. People come, people go, whether it's, whether they just exit your life or whether they exit life entirely. And I know it's hard to say those things, but those are conversations that I've had or I'm having. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's not easy, but you'd
they're
rather
hard.
do it than look back and wish you had done it.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
you are someone who I feel like in the time I've known you are very proudly yourself. You're out there about your sexuality. You're out there about the way you live your life. I guess not really so much a question as an observation. I think you're very proudly you. And it sounds like to some extent you have been, but also there's a bit of a middle ground. Like, when did you really accept who you are? And then, sort of moving to the next phase of our conversation, how did that inspire you to create?
I love your questions, Dom. They're so thoughtful. They're so thoughtful. You're doing great, buddy. I I appreciate that because you saying I am unapologetically me is an interesting thought because I feel like I walk into interactions apologizing immediately for being who I am.
I
I
think you do, but I also don't think that stops you.
It
You're
doesn't stop me.
like,
That's
"Sorry,
exactly
I'm
it.
me, but deal with it, and now here's what we're gonna do."
Exactly. There's usually some kind of an objective there, which is very intentional on my part in that if I have a reason to be wherever I am, I'm so much more comfortable. Like
Mhm.
I was like either it's an invitation or somebody said, "Hey, yeah, come hang out," or "Hey, come do this thing." I I'm always willing to say yes. For the most part, right? And as long as it's a reasonable person doing reasonable things. I I I'm I'm bold in that way. That's what I mean by boldness, in that I don't have a point where I feel like I've reached like self-actualization or a point where I feel like I truly value myself in the way that I know other people do that have what I would consider more genuine, at least, self-worth than what I have. I'm learning. It's a skill for me. It's not something that is innate,
Mhm.
but it's something that I'm very grateful that I have that boldness element in me that lets me say, "Hey," I mean, it goes by ardent, right? The ardent part of ardent melody. It's
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm enthusiastic. I will show up. I will do my best. I'm probably going to struggle. That's okay, as long as you're okay with it. And then also just having really wonderful friends that have come into my life
Mhm.
because of all of this that I am so thankful for. Like Tonks is one of those people. Crow is one of those people. Shailene is one of those people. Like people I've had a chance to really like get into some down and dirty conversations with. And like Liz, you and I have had some incredible conversations. I'm so thankful for the people that give me that space to that recognize immediately that I'm here, I'm doing my best, and are willing to encourage me without blowing bullshit hot air up my skirt. Like, I hate that. I don't want to think that you're complimenting me all the time for no reason because that's not worth it. But it is so valuable to me when somebody is willing to have really honest conversations with me and give me that space to be insecure and then have a real conversation about here's what was good, here's what could be better, and that's okay. And
Mhm.
that's where I've been learning that self-worth from is from those dear people in my life.
Yeah. I mean, I think the internet is a wonderful place to meet your little community of outcasts and weirdos, and I say that with love, chat.
Yeah, 100%.
Um, and it it is good, and to some extent, I think it is who you are that that space has become one that is welcoming and open, instead of like many of the spaces on the internet appear to be that way, but are actually gatekeepy and judgy and not real.
Mhm. And you
So
can smell those from a mile away once you know what to look for.
yeah,
It's so bad.
once you know what to look for, but man,
Yeah.
it's a journey getting there.
It sure is.
So you've been a creator for some time now.
Mhm.
Let's talk about how that started. You've obviously been creative your whole life. You sang. I assume you did other creative endeavors, although we haven't talked about it. Um, how did you find, I guess specifically, I don't want to say the ASMR space, so that's kind of what it is, but like, how
Yeah.
did you find this space?
I through a comedy of errors, really. Taylor Tomlinson is a comedian that my husband and I watch, and
Hmm.
she mentioned that audio porn exists, and I didn't know about this. I was just saying, I only seen the weird videos that I were iffy. And yeah, she mentioned that there were these things where it's like, oh, you can hear somebody, telling you it's gonna be okay, and like how much that like did it for her. And I was like, okay, okay, okay. So I started my little incognito searches. I
Wow,
found some
incognito
the
mode.
incognito, yeah. The shame is real. I found a couple of creators, but then I what got me was not even like the audio porn. It was very much later injured listener is a very interesting It's a very interesting part of the genre for me. I
Hmm.
Yeah, it's there's a lot to it, but it's how I got into this space. I've had a recurring dream since I was little, way too little for this to be fucking normal, way too little, that I would run out into the yard, be injured somehow. Again, I'm like, I was 5, I swear to God, the first time I had this, it's and that somebody would come and hold me as I died.
Wow.
I've had this recurring dream forever, and finding that not only had other people had similar sort of thought process, I thought this is the weirdest fucking thing about me. I not only had the other people had these thought processes, but that it was something that people found comfort in, and that there was a space to find comfort in. So started finding injured listener sort of audios and went down a bit of that rabbit hole. Found Ozzy Ben. It was one of the first ones that I found. And thanks to listening to a truly unhealthy amount of Ozzy Ben, I found Nomad through, I think it's still the most popular video on his channel in terms of view count, which is A Job Gone Wrong. It is the 5th audio in his Arthur series, which someday he will finish. Nomad, I'm coming for your ass with this. Finish Arthur's last fucking audio, motherfucker. I swear to God. Um, he that first of all, it's a very, very, very well done audio, but injured listener got me into that, which got me into Vogue. I will kill you. Twitch for legal purposes, that's a joke, but fucking hell. I oh, I'm dying for that last Arthur audio. Anyway, I that got me into, oh, this is a part of a story. Let me go find this playlist. Oh, this is really good. Like this is a whole like arc. Oh, what else do you have? Oh, the werewolf. Okay, let's listen to all of Caleb's stuff.
Okay.
I shit you not. I spent multiple sleepless nights getting through Nomad's catalog. And then realizing, oh, there are other creators. And then I slipped into a couple of like, oh, this is no, 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 I should not. Nope.
This is
Backing
too
up.
far for
Beep,
me.
beep. Yeah, no, yeah. It was definitely that, like, which I didn't realize the subsection existed of the community, but for me, it was the subsection of like that starts to play in non-con sort of spaces and
Oh,
the sort of spicier stuff that like plays hinting on YouTube and then goes to other
then
sites
goes to Patreon. Yeah.
or like Subscribestar or OnlyFans or
Uh,
whatever. Like all of those. Yep, confirmed. All of those spaces, like there were a couple of that I found that were deeply uncomfortable that I had to back out of. So I started
mm,
really only like going down the rabbit hole of like, okay, who's collaborated with Nomad? Started listening to Shizu, started listening to Eris, started listening to um basically everybody on the LNC that way, and started to listen to who they had collaborated with, and then
mhm.
started going to those streams and started interacting with people, and then heard that magic multiple times statement from Nomad and Eris as well, actually, of if you're interested in trying this, just do it, just see what happens.
Wow.
And that's, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to put my mic. That's how I got here.
Wow. It's funny because I'll be honest, and this is probably a controversial thing to say. I don't listen to ASMR RP, and I never will.
How dare
Uh,
you?
I know, right? It's funny because now I'm friends with all these creators who have like
Yeah.
probably combined like hundreds of thousands of followers, and they'll be like, "Did you catch?" Like, no, I didn't.
You're like, no.
Like, no, I don't. I don't listen to it, and it's funny
My
because
husband can't do it either. He finds it so cringy. So cringy. Even like I showed him something with listener, like any ex-listener thing, and he was like, "Why is only half of the story there? I hate it." And then I showed him something that was more like audio drama that I got to be part of where there was no, and he was like, "Okay, it's better, but still, ugh, it's so not
yeah,
for him." And that is a-okay.
it
I get it.
it absolutely is, and yeah, I mean, but I do tend to. I'm a bit of a shit stir Um, and one of my favorite things is to joke about how many of my good friends make porn.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, and it is interesting because like I obviously, I mean, I know they all do that, right? But also
Yeah.
like they do also genuinely help people, genuinely make people feel better, genuinely change people's lives. And like that's pretty crazy. Um to have to like be surrounded by people, who whether it's their intent or not, are putting out this content that's changing the paths of people. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of humbling to think, even I mean, I sometimes like think about, like I don't know, I do a podcast with two guys who have like anywhere from 10 to 30,000 people who follow them. It's like if you put all those people in a room, that's a crazy amount of people.
That's
uh
stadium status, it's true.
yeah, and like Jesus, like these people actually are like out there affecting people's lives. And
Yeah.
yes, they do make, yandere chases you through a forest, or Nomad's a werewolf, but like that doesn't make the messages any less impactful.
No. I mean, for me, like for Nomad stuff, I fell in love with the stories, like truly just the narrative pieces before I ever even looked into the Patreon stuff. But
mm,
I once I did look into the Patreon stuff, um, like I'm not trying to blow air up anybody's skirt, but saying I'm not trying to bullshit anybody by saying like changed my life with that Patreon. In that there was some educational stuff he did about
hmm
BDSM and kink, where he, in a very safe way, explained things that had never been explained to me before. Like starting
yeah,
off with, what is consent? No joke. That was the first time I'd really heard about it, really heard it defined. Um, and then started learning about like all the different kinks that are out there and equipment and all of those things. And he was kind enough to answer a couple questions that I ended up DMing him about from that content. Like it really did change my life and it was part of me coming into this space. But yeah, there's zero shade on creators that do spicy things or like those more like dangerous things. I'm more talking about irresponsible creators, Vlog, by the way. You're not an irresponsible creator. What I came across was cringy for a lot of reasons that came out later. Uh,
I mean, I think it's I think it's so strange because obviously like I don't necessarily want to or think about my friends like that.
yeah,
But it is, I mean, it is good to know that like safe spaces are being created on the internet.
yeah.
I
And education, because a
Yeah,
lot of us didn't get it. A lot of us didn't get the talk. Or if we did get the talk, it
yeah.
was, hey, don't have sex. And like that was it.
The You didn't get the birds and bees and ropes and gags and
Yeah,
yeah.
those are all really important things.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
don't go to
those
Home
really
Depot and get
are.
like, that's not what you want.
No, no, yeah, that rope is gonna fuck you up. Don't do
That's
that.
gonna hurt people. Yeah.
Um, that's so interesting because I think I exist a lot online now, but like, I learned all that stuff through like teachers, right? Like people
Mm,
who, you'd go out and meet at parties and things. And like, yeah, you learn very quickly what consent is and rack awareness and things like that. And I'm glad there are spaces out there for people to find it.
mhm.
Yeah,
It's so important.
it's just still weird that my friends make kind of porny content sometimes. But you know what? If it's helping people, like we love it for them.
Yes, and the secret really is that once you get to know somebody enough, just don't listen to it anymore because it's
Mm,
gonna get weird.
yeah, 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 yeah. I
I've
can,
made this joke before, but there are a couple of creators that if I meet them, I'm absolutely screwed because I will be completely out of content at this point.
yeah, 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 yeah. You're like, no, I can't meet you because I enjoy hearing you mutter into a microphone too much. We're done here.
Legitimately, and I would say that to somebody's face, like,
Oh
"Listen, bro, I
God.
can't get close to you because I like your blank audios too much. Just nice to meet you. Bye."
um. So you you talk about how Nomad in particular was really formative, and then you talked about how you kind of got in through the injured listener angle.
Mhm.
I mean, they're clear correlations to your own life, whether it's like, you talked about, this recurring dream you had, or you talked about like beating your own illness or to some extent, right? Like maybe when you were young, you were the speaker tending to the injured listener.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything in particular about that you think like there are a multitude of reasons, but those obviously really speak to you. Is there I mean, have you drilled down? Have you given it some thought as to like why?
I definitely talked to my therapist about it. I was like, "So I discovered this thing, and I really like this thing. Why do I like this thing?"
Hell yeah, therapy, baby.
We it is a privilege, that I was able to get it. Like, we talked about benefits, man, it makes a big difference. Um, yeah, it was something that I talked to her about, and her particular take, and I don't necessarily know how much I buy into this, but her particular take was, because you have trouble believing that you are worth being cared for, unless you are severely injured listener fills that space for you of needing care and attention that you
Mhm.
don't believe you deserve in real life.
Yeah.
There's merit to
Being
that.
yeah, being literally like, if it's an end of life or like an illness, it's like I have no control over this. Like this is the time when it's okay to receive comfort. Maybe because that's what you were taught, right?
Mhm. Yeah, legitimately, like, it was one of those where, like, and in addition to, like, the religious stuff, my dad is, like, way more than I've ever been a walking apology.
Mhm.
He believes he's a burden by simply being in the room, by making noise, by, like,
Mhm.
he would never call and ask for rides even when, like, we needed to go to the ER kind of thing, even though
Mhm.
people, like, in the congregation had said, like, "Let us know if you need something." Like, unless I was actively bleeding, we were taking the bus, like, it did not
Jesus.
matter because he wanted to be independent, and some of that comes from, like, being disabled and what that does to you
Mhm.
psychologically, especially in our society. Um, but, like, it taught me growing up that asking for help was bad.
Mhm.
And when you are taught that asking for help is bad, asking for other things like validation or like the space to be insecure about something or encouragement when you need it or like somebody telling you it's going to be okay, uh, feeling any sort of need makes you a burden in that headspace. It's not
Mhm.
correct, but it's true that's at least where my head will go sometimes. So it is difficult to break yourself of that. And at least for me, like Injured Listener provides a comfort that no other sort of comfort audio will bring me. Like even if it's addressing
Mhm.
something very specific, nothing hits that itch for me like Injured Listener does. So that's I think the biggest reason is like when you this is I'm going to say something that sounds absolutely terrible, but it's true. I've never been this is going to sound so fucking bad. I've never been so relieved as I was for the 24 hours after my mom passed. Here's why. Nobody expected anything of me.
Yeah.
Nobody expected anything of me. I had blanket space from work. I had blanket
Mhm.
space from home. I had to truly just be, and that is the first time I can remember in my life of having permission to just be. And I feel so guilty about that because why was that the emotion I was experiencing at that time? But we've talked about that. That is okay. Still, I know it sounds weird, but yeah, that like permission to just exist, I feel like at least for me or people who are wired like me is very difficult to come by.
I you know, I know words can't make it better, but I don't think that you should feel guilty. I think loss is an emotion that we experience is it's so visceral and often like a lot of people when they experience loss they feel anger, right? It doesn't make any sense.
Mhm.
But loss is nothing logical. And so I don't think no matter what you felt in the moment that you should feel ashamed or embarrassed. The reality is that we all deal with loss differently, and nobody can judge you because nobody's walked in your shoes, right?
Yeah.
I think it's easy to say, someone might say, "Oh, well, like I just felt, sad when I lost someone close to me," but it's like relationships are never one layered, and especially the relationship with a parent, a sick parent. I mean, your relationship feels very complicated, and
Hmm.
I always tell my partner, never apologize for how you feel because feelings are something you can't control.
Hmm.
And if you feel like you need space, if you feel hurt, if you feel ashamed, like you're allowed to feel that. But just know that just because you feel that, that's not how other people perceive it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, what I would encourage you is just, I think it's, I think examining that shame is worthwhile, but also I think we judge ourselves far more harshly than the people around us do.
Yeah.
And so
100%.
you shouldn't feel embarrassed to share that. I know I can only imagine that everyone in here has their own version of dealing with loss, and nobody deals with it in a way that's perfect. So,
Yeah.
um,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
yeah. Hey, this is a space to just be and share.
Yeah.
I wanna switch gears a bit and talk a
Hmm.
bit about storytelling. Um,
Yes.
in our pre-interview, we talked a lot about how do you really see yourself as a creator, and you said you see yourself as a storyteller. I think for me, I also consider myself a storyteller. That's why I do this.
Yeah.
Storytelling is a lot about building intimacy through shared experience, especially so in collaborative storytelling. We are literally creating something from nothing together, just like we're doing right now. What is storytelling to you, and why do you consider yourself a storyteller?
Mm. I consider myself a storyteller because it's the best definition that makes sense across all the multiple mediums. Like,
Hmm.
I know a lot of people who primarily sing that would say, I'm a singer, I'm a vocalist, but not necessarily define themselves as a storyteller, even though anytime you're performing, that is what you're doing. Um,
Hmm.
and the same is true for, I think, any of the other genres that we're talking about interacting with, like audio RP and things of that nature, anytime you write anything. But for me, the reason that I like to tell stories is because, first of all, it's a bit selfish because it gives me a chance to inhabit characters. And that's what I find most interesting is thinking about how people work and why they work and what sort of what we're talking about here, actually, like what leads you from point A to point B, what makes a person who they are, and finding those explanations. Because, you know, there are villains in the world. The stories have all these different tropes and archetypes, and but what makes a person that way? And I think it just gives you a lot of empathy for the world. And so I love personally doing that. And
Yeah.
I'm blessed in that people seem to enjoy watching me do that. And I think working with other storytellers that feel the same and that really are interested in character and interested in just understanding, coming to a mutual understanding, like you
Yeah.
said, especially with collaborative storytelling. Like, I've been so blessed to work with, people at the tables that I've been at, especially players that have engaged with me on more intimate and more direct storylines. Harper Studio plays my D&D girlfriend in A Mercenary's Adventure, and the conversations that we've had. Harper and I have a lot of, like, a lot of shared experience in terms of, like, coming up in a cult and things like that, and she and I find a lot of gratification, peace, I can't find quite the right word for it, but we found a lot of really great moments together and have had such a wonderfully fulfilling experience finding that other person that you can trust
Yeah.
to tell those stories with. And we've just recently crow dance, and I my character and his character became siblings via a very unexpected turn of events in a text RP. Like,
Wow.
just moments like that are what I freaking live for, man.
Yeah.
And that's why I love to tell stories is and hoping too that like those things are very meaningful for me and selfishly I
Mm,
get a lot of fulfillment out of it.
yeah.
But being able to share that by being online and hearing, occasionally from somebody in chat like, "Oh, I've had a similar experience. I've never heard of it. I've never heard it put that way before," or I oh, this is impacting me in some way. This is making me cry or be able to like get feelings out. It's helping somebody else. So there's that. I hate to say that it's secondary, but it is for me. There is that secondary benefit of I'm
Yeah.
helping somebody else. But first and foremost, it's kind of
Hey,
selfish. I'm not gonna
you
lie.
shouldn't apologize. I mean, um, I feel the same way you do. I've been playing TTRPGs for almost, oh my god, almost 20 years now,
Hey,
since
let's
I was
go.
young. And one of the things I love is that when I inhabit these characters, I can really explore other, right?
Hmm.
I can feel some version of what it's like to be a small lost girl instead of a large powerful man. I can experience, what it's like to be married or have kids, which that's something that's not in my experience. I think that's one of
Yeah,
the really, really beautiful things about TTRPGs.
absolutely.
You came to TTRPGs around the pandemic.
Hmm.
Obviously, it was when the world was super uncertain. You know, we were
Hmm.
going through something that one of one of like 20 or 30 once in a lifetime events that our generation has gone through.
Vibes.
Um,
It's so real.
what do you feel like it gave you in that time? And I guess extending it on, what do imaginary worlds give you sometimes that the real ones don't?
Hmm. Possibility.
Mm,
It gives me space to exist in a world where I don't have the limitations that I have here.
hmm.
It's why I am not as interested. I'll still play it, but I'm not as interested in campaigns that are going to be super like restrictive on,
Yeah.
like coin management. Like I already have to deal with that in real life, please.
Yeah, I already got to look over my bank statements. I don't want to do it
Yeah.
in fucking D&D.
Exactly. I wanna, jump off and do a back kickflip and spin and stab somebody in the throat. Like, that's what I'm more interested in. Let me do that. I don't
You
wanna have to pay to do
you
it.
violent little heathen,
Oh,
you.
absolutely. I all of my characters are actually quite violent, um, which I'm sure says something about me, and that's fine. I
Maybe some unrestrained impulses in there. I bet you
Oh,
they have a
yeah.
lot of romance too. Hmm.
Yeah, it's funny it's turned out that way. That was not the plan, but it's definitely turned
Oh,
out that way.
how surprising that is.
Oh my. Actually, no, I shouldn't even say that because I was thinking it was a recent thing after no, this was true of my first character too, because that's where I learned to roll performance checks to see how well sex went.
If only it was that right way in real life and I could occasionally roll a 20 and occasionally roll a 1.
I roll so shitty most of the time, like so middle of the ground, like it's gonna be so bad.
I think that just says something about you. Maybe you're just a really mid lover.
Maybe. You have to ask my husband about that,
Uh,
but man.
it's okay. We're
Ah.
bringing him on the next talks between, or the next what lives between, and that's the first question I'm asking him.
Do it. Do it,
Okay.
man. I dare you.
Um, I agree. I think it's really interesting to like inhabit the other.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think TTRPGs let us confront issues. I always think it's really interesting how in TTRPGs, like we're so wanton with violence, but then being
Mhm.
able to step back, like, in the real world, we say like, oh, even if you kill someone in self-defense, like, you go to court for that. In D&D, it's like, man, you meet a bandit on a shadowed road, like the DM tells you he's a bandit, you kill him without compunction.
Yeah. It's
And
interesting, right? It makes you
yeah,
wonder like how that impulse comes about in the real world. Like, oh, yeah, how much do we believe the stories we're told about other people? Why don't we
yeah.
ask more questions? Yeah.
And for those of you who are maybe new to TTRPGs or are just getting into it, I think for me in my journey, now that I'm all the way down the line, like my characters, they're not loud, but they're always reflective. And I think
Mm.
the idea of like, okay, we want this treasure, so we kill this dragon. Was the dragon really doing anything wrong? And if they were, like, why don't we go get the guards? No, we're just vigilantes, just murdering. Like, did this dragon have children? Like, why does it have this scar on its face? Like, interesting
Mm.
questions to ask. And if you have a DM who thinks the same way you do, you'll get shocking responses.
Oh yeah. I have a question for you.
Go ahead. Oh, we're oh wait, now I'm interviewing. We gotta move ourselves.
You gotta flip us. How introspective was the non-horny version of Hall E. Wood?
Oh, I mean,
And I know that's not a character technically because it's you're the DM and you're doing a protagonist, but still, or antagonist. I gotta know, was he a particularly introspective individual prior to becoming a
so
slimy tentacle hentai monster?
yeah, so for so that was something that so I had run a series for Vogue and a bunch of our other creator friends called Reverie.
Mm.
And it's amazing. If you guys have 47 hours, go check it out. I honestly think it's some of the best content, some of the best DMing I've ever done. We had an incredibly talented cast, including Cheerio, who, if you love little tiny growls,
Oh my god.
she plays a bird, a fairy bird. It's
Oh
amazing.
my god. I have the
Yeah.
biggest internet I've never talked to you really crush on Cheerio. It's just after the
Um,
after that growl off.
I'm gonna tell you, the internet has a crush on Cheerio, and she fucking loves it. So,
Good. Excellent, as she
um,
should.
yeah, if
Also, we
you,
should drop the link for Reverie
sure,
if we
yeah,
can.
I think Vog's in chat. It's on Vog's channel.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
So after that, and that was like honestly some of the best DMing I've ever done. It was mostly held up by an incredible cast. But I always
Yeah,
try
but
to
it takes a good
do.
DM to really actually hold that together.
Well, thank you. I always try to do. I put messages in my campaigns. The Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The way I had originally envisioned it was about how voice actors and those who create content are becoming the voice of a generation, or the VOG, because it was for Vogue's 24-hour stream. And
Bravo. Bravo.
there was kind of going to be like a magical girl moment in the end where everyone like embraced their calling as a voice of a generation. The thing is, I didn't really know my cast that well. And
Fair.
yeah, you guys are horny motherfuckers.
Mhm.
And yeah, it kind of just evolved into dick jokes and tentacle dildos. But you know what? The most important thing is that everyone had fun.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, certainly, I think those who know me well, and certainly those who know my content, know that like I love cracking dick jokes with the boys as much as the next person. But stuff
Mhm.
like this is why I create. This is why I was
Yeah.
driven to do this.
Yeah.
Slower, more intimate moments.
Yeah. I'm glad we have a balance of both in the spaces that we inhabit. It's a
Yeah,
gift.
yeah. I mean, hey, we all need dick jokes. People love them.
Oh, yeah.
But also slowing down, getting real, right? Like that's what I think. That's what I hope I'm giving the worldwide internet. Okay, I want to sort of move towards wrapping things and looking forward.
Sure.
So, you do ASMR, RP, you stream. I feel like you're everywhere, all over the internet. Um, I want you to imagine yourself a year from now. And I think that's both something that's maybe easier for us at our age and harder for us, because a year is not that much time, but also
Mhm.
a lot can fucking happen in a year.
Yeah.
What do you hope she's figured out? And what do you hope she's still questioning?
Mm. It's a good question. I'm gonna think about that for a second. What do you hope she's figured out? What do you think she's still
Yeah,
questioning?
certainly take your time.
I think a year from now, I hope Mel has figured out what stability looks like for her in this new situation I'm trying to build, which
Mm-hmm.
is lower income but happier, and
Mm-hmm.
therefore spending a limited lifetime better, into my viewpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And what I hope she's still pondering is connection with people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like genuine connection with people. And being not just willing to accept that other people's actions are their own, but being more responsible for her own actions
Hmm.
and executing on that better. Um, there's I don't consider myself a particularly good friend, and before any of my friends come for me, I mean that just mainly, like, practically, right? Like, I wish I was better about some of the more practical traditional things like birthday cards, like remembering anniversaries, like making sure we've talked in the last 2 weeks, things like that, like checking in. I get into my own head too much. I live in my stories. I
Hmm.
forget, I get distracted. Some of that is ADHD, but some of it too is things I can control, like being more mindful about those things. So I hope she's still working on that. I hope she doesn't lose that as she seeks that sort of personal happiness.
Okay. What do you hope she's still looking for? What do you hope she's still questioning?
Um, I think that being being a better friend, right? Like I hope she's still questioning herself and like pushing herself to do that.
Hmm.
But help me out if you don't mind, please. Give me an example of what you mean by questioning.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what I'm trying to get at with this question is like,
Hmm.
I think we always hope we're gonna have everything figured out,
Mm,
but some things I think always need revisiting. You know, am
mm,
I am I creating the right content? Am I filling the right role in my life that the people around me need? Am I being thoughtful with my time and energy when it comes towards anything? So I think
okay.
maybe it's a wider question about, as we go through life, what do you always hope that you're never comfortable with and always pursuing?
Mm, okay. I hope that I'm always pursuing being a better contributor to the world around me.
Okay. How so?
Meaning, I'm a white woman. It's very easy for me. I'm like, I'm not at the top of the privilege pyramid, but I'm right there, you know? I'm, it's very easy for me to take for granted the privileges that I have
Hmm.
and to forget the privileges that other people live without, like personal safety in a space where they should be safe.
Hmm.
Um, there was a mistake I made recently with my husband. He's part, he's half Cuban. He's
Hmm.
got a lot of fears going on right now.
You know.
And I was somewhat glib and dismissive about a concern he had with traveling.
Hmm.
Like, I could be better about that. I need to be more mindful. I want to make sure that there's n- eh, you can never fully put yourself in someone else's shoes, of course, but you can
Hmm.
do as much as you can to empathize with and sympathize with other people's experiences. And there's a lot of books I want to read that are out there where people have already done the work. It's not on somebody else to tell me about it. It's on me to go get that information. And
Yeah.
I hope I never stop asking those questions because there's always going to be more that I could do, more that I could practically do with giving of my time and whatnot, but also just half of the work, I think, when you're in a position of privilege is making sure that you are listening and shutting the fuck up sometimes and just taking in as much information from people that are spending the energy to help you understand and
Hmm.
actually taking that information in. That's something
Yeah.
I hope I never stop doing.
Giving people a space to tell their stories, one might say. Um,
I never thought about it like that, but yeah, you're not
and
wrong.
and trust me, if you think you are close to the top of the pyramid, I am a straight, wealthy, tall, attractive white man.
Yeah,
And
buddy, you're right there.
yeah, if
Hi.
if it was a pyramid, then damn, like I'm not quite a billionaire, but like,
Yeah.
I'm still on the tip. I'm still very
Yeah,
close
yeah.
to the tip. So I get that.
Just the tip.
Oh my god. All right.
If
Well,
I don't get a dick joke in there. I'm not doing my job, man.
All right. Now that we've had our one mandated dick joke,
Yes, yes, yes. Just check that book. Check that
yeah,
particular
yeah,
mark.
that
Let's
that that
go.
that was the last thing I was waiting for before closing out. So I really appreciate you just shoving it in there right in the end.
Absolutely. It's where I love to be.
um, Jesus Christ. I had
Sorry, I took
a
you out of the game a little bit.
Yeah, I had a whole exit plans, and now I'm just thinking about dicks.
I have that effect on people.
Yeah, well, that must make you very popular in a lot of spaces. If you ever do go make spicy content, you're gonna do very well, I'm sure.
Oh my god. I
Um,
that's a fun concept for me, and I'm genuinely thinking about it, not gonna lie.
well, I'm sure chat will be supportive. We're too close of friends for me to listen to it, but I'm sure it will be amazing.
I
Um,
appreciate you, buddy.
all right. As we sort of exit, I wanna say a couple things. Like one, kind of facing chat. You guys were very well behaved, and I appreciate you. This is sort of something near and dear to my heart, and this seems to have potentially resonated with people. And so I really appreciate you all coming and being a part of this. And then Mel, obviously, you were amazing.
You were too.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. This was exactly what I pictured it being. I want to give you space here to talk about you're working on so many incredible things. Like, what can chat look forward to from you in the coming days, weeks, months?
Oh wow. I first of all thank you for the space and thank you for having me because I'm so excited to watch other friends have this conversation with you or some version of this conversation with you, and this is beautiful, and thank you for the true honor of being the first. Like that was such a gift.
You'll always be my
Um
first, Mel.
I'm glad I could pop your cherry, baby. Uh, I'm realizing I was looking almost right at the camera when I said that. I'm sorry, buddy.
Jesus Christ, bro.
Oh my god. Okay. Uh, what I've got coming up, I have so many wonderful things coming up. First of all, in about 30 minutes, I will be going live for A Mercenary's Adventure, we're on episode
Amazing.
40, which is
Wow.
wild. We've been going for just over a year now, which is wonderful. Shout out to Shailene Saruga, our DM, for that. And then I have my own campaign that I'm DMing for the first time, which is Gatsby on the Edge of Forenever. That is back on February 28th. We're going to see how these wonderful people do after having been offered a deal with the actual Bibble Devil.
Amazing.
We're so excited for that for them. And then two of my two big projects, Enduring Marks, which are our lovely Vogue personas, is my amazing villain, and I appreciate him so much. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that first episode, Vogue straight up knocked my socks off with how wonderful his performance was. And Scrub VA's performance as the narrator is bananas. Very much looking forward to getting episode 2 out for that in the next couple of months. And then the last one I've been talking about basically since I started creating, which is The Nameless King. It's gone through some creative
Oh,
changes.
okay.
But I'm very excited about getting that out in the world. It's based on that first Pathfinder game that I told you about that started during the pandemic.
Mhm.
Um, and it's kind of an epic story that is like at the end of the world, what makes up your name? What actions do you do to make a name for yourself? It's not just what people think of you, it's the things that you do. And it explores that theme across a bunch of different characters, and that's being written in this year. The goal is to get episode 1 out this year.
Is that the
So
goal or is that a commitment to chat?
that is a commitment to chat. I will do that. I will make that commitment to chat that episode 1 will come out this year, and
All
I'm
right.
writing that down because I'm in trouble if I
Nameless
don't.
King, episode 1,
Yeah,
2026. You've
2026.
got exactly 11 months.
Yeah. I'm gonna get on that.
That is like 334 days. So you
Heck
got
yeah.
this.
Heck yeah.
Um, Well, all right. Just want to do a last shout out for my lovely guest, Mal. Those of you who are new here, I do this. I'm gonna try to do this once a month. This is a labor of love and obviously a ton of work to get here, but this is near and dear to my heart. If you want to see me be more of a fucking heathen, every other week I do a podcast on this channel with the amazing Vogue Persona and the amazing Nomad Tales, both of whom were mentioned here. So let's not make their heads too big.
You guys
Where
suck.
yeah, we spend the first hour sort of shooting the shit, and then we deep dive into a topic. Not I don't think quite as deep as we get here with personal items, but just get our takes on real things. Last week we talked about masculinity. Next week we'll see. I think we're gonna have a spicier topic, so we
Ooh,
shall see what we get into. We're still in discussions, but just
wonderful.
wanna really thank you all for being here, and really look forward to continuing the series. And if you are a creator or someone who's creative and you're interested on being on, feel free to DM me. I'm always looking for more people. I think I have my next couple of guests already planned out, but if you're someone who's interested, let me know. You don't have to be a voice actor or actress. You can be a writer, creator in some other way, a musician. More than happy to have a variety of creatives on here. So
Heck yeah.
thank you
Are you
so
able
much.
to announce who's next, my friend?
Oh, well, I don't want to do it yet.
Okay, okay. I figured I'd
But
ask.
it's gonna be someone you all know and love. I guarantee it. And I think they have some
Wonderful.
very interesting stories to share. So,
Wonderful.
um, really appreciate you all for being here, and want to, yeah, just say thank you, chat, and
Thank
thank
you.
you, Mel, for being here. And I look forward to seeing you all next time we do this.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye for now, chat. Go in 30 minutes. Mel's going live. I expect to see you all there.
Hi and bye.
Okay, bye, friends.
Take care.